Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal, and this is your latest transfer news. The first of many live videos that we will be doing throughout this summer transfer window. It's going to be huge. It's going to be linked to, as usual, we're linked to a lot of players, and a lot of players could be leaving Arsenal this time as well. I was supposed to do videos as usual, but today there's a lot of news, so we will get through all of that. Let me know how you guys are doing. Musa says I prefer Moises Caicedo because he's strong on the ball, and also without the ball, he can also play as a right back. Good points. We'll get to him. Think nice seeing you again, Musa. How are you doing? Okay, nice. Always seeing you. Good to have you live on Sports Show on Air. Says Master will be live a lot of times during the transfer window. Don't worry. Bless you too. Good evening, Katuma. Nice seeing you as always. And Abu says, how far now? Well, we will find out. Abu will find out. Let's get to it. In fact, we will be talking about obviously DECLAN Rice. We will be talking about Moises Caicedo as usual. All of them have been in the news. Also, we'll be talking about a Chelsea player. Like, you know, it's never Arsenal transfer window without Arsenal being linked to a Chelsea player. Like, it always happens. It always happens. Arsenal being linked to a Chelsea player, it always happens. We'll also be talking about the latest on JORGINHO. Somehow he could end up leaving, according to reports. Also, the latest on Xhaka and the latest on Lokonga. So there's a lot to get into. We're going to be talking about 6 players and also the latest on Mikel Arteta's plan for this summer transfer window. In fact, let's get straight into it. Let's start with DECLAN Rice. So obviously won the Europa Conference League yesterday. funny as well. Like every time West Ham win a trophy, everyone is talking about Arsenal. Like we rent free in these people's heads. Everyone is always talking about Arsenal. Shows you how big we are. So according to Fabrizio Romano, as we expected, Arsenal plan remains clear. Opening bid for Declan Rice very soon. That is according to Fabrizio Romano. So we're expecting it very, very soon. This one I am very, very confident in. I feel like there's no way this is going to carry to July or August like we did with the likes of Tillemans and those kind of players. Because if it passes June, you're not going to get Declan Rice. There's a lot of teams that want him, and I'm pretty sure Edu knows that. I'm pretty sure Ateta knows that. And the kind of midfielders we're being linked to, and the number of players we could end up selling, especially in midfield, you have to get midfielders in your team, strong midfielders, quality midfielders who are going to add to your team. And Declan Rice is one of them. If you watched the game yesterday between West Ham and Fiorentina, you can see his qualities defensively and also pushing forward with the ball. He's an English regular. Obviously, there's English tax. Maybe it's not really 100 million. It's something like 70, 80, but you'll need to pay 20 million. And since they won the Europa Conference yesterday, maybe that would go up to like 120 because they lifted the trophy yesterday. But his qualities are there. I definitely do not agree with anyone who says Declan Rice is not good enough. No, there's definitely a reason why he plays every single day for England the last 4 years, and he's a regular for West Ham. There's a reason why he's captain for West Ham. He's a player who can play. He used to play as a defender, by the way. He was only moved to central midfield like 3 years ago. But when he joined West Ham, I think that his debut is actually against Arsenal. I remember him playing against Arsenal like 4 years back, and he was a centre back. And I don't think he played really nicely. Then he was moved to midfield. But this would be a huge sign. That is according to Fabrizio Romano. According to Gary Jacobs, West Ham have been angling for a transfer fee exceeding 100 million, including add-ons. Would probably expect the money to be paid in 3 installments. 3 installments. We could do that, West Ham. We could definitely do that. 3 installments? Oh, yes. Oh, hell yes. If it's 3 installments, you can ask for 200 million if you want. If it's not like right away, installments, that is something I like to hear. If it's installments, perfect, absolutely perfect. Let's see. Arsenal would prefer a deal for Rice to be concluded before the club's preseason tour of the United States in July. Absolutely perfect. Number one, you can pay in installments. That would be perfect. If they can say, you know what, pay 70 million right now and then maybe 15 million next year and another 15 million, that would be absolutely perfect. That would also balance our books and stuff and allow us to also get other players in this transfer window. And also we want to get it done before the preseason tour to USA. And actually Arsenal have just announced that before Arsenal go to USA, we will be going to Germany to play against Nuremberg like we did last season. So we will have a lot of games as well this preseason, and one of them I think it's 17th July or something. That's when our preseason starts, so that's like 5 weeks from now or something, if my calculations are right. So you need to get deals like this, you need to get them done early. But I'm really, really happy that they could allow installments. That would be perfect for whatever you're trying to do this transfer window. And also, according to Sam Dean, every journalist is jumping on this Rice news. Arsenal will ramp up their interest for Declan Rice in the coming days. They want to close the deal as soon as possible. Absolutely. We want that to be done very, very soon. I remember this past season was the first time in years that Arsenal has really started the season very well. Like we beat Crystal Palace, we beat Bournemouth, we beat Leicester, we beat Fulham, all of them in the first 4 games. The previous seasons, we always start seasons poorly. Why? Because every time we come to the season starting, we've not signed any players, and then we end up losing 2-3 games. It has happened so many times. 2018, we lost to Chelsea and Man City in the first 2 games. There's a time we lost to Aston Villa first game. There's a time we lost to West Ham first game. Like it has happened a lot of times, and Brentford as well. We lost to them first game. Why? Because by the time we face those teams, we've never really done our transfer business by then. We wait for Arsenal to lose 2 or 3 games, and then we rush to buy players. Last season, we bought our players early. Jesus was in by June. Zinchenko was in by the time Arsenal were playing in USA. Even Fabio Vieira's in very, very early. You get the team understanding the system very, very well. You get the new players and the older players involved with each other and everything. And you get ready for the season. They train with each other for 2 months. And by the time you start the season, it was perfect. Like, did you see how Zinchenko and Jesus started last season? Perfectly. Jesus had like 5 games in preseason. Zinchenko had like 3. All of them, by the time the season started, all of them were ready. That is what we want to happen this time as well. It's not rocket science. You buy your players early, you get them training in preseason, get them understanding the system, everyone starts the season strong. But if you wait for your team to lose 2 or 3 games and then you start buying players, whatever happened the last 10 years before last season is what is going to happen. So we want a quick start like we did last season. So we want early signings. And according to Jacob Steinbach, every journalist is jumping on this news. Arsenal are confident of sealing a deal to sign Declan Rice. They intend to move quickly. Talks with West Ham are expected to accelerate soon. West Ham hope to receive at least 100 million, while Arsenal want to pay about 90 million. I'm pretty sure it's gonna come to like 100 million. I'm pretty sure we're going to give them 100 million, especially if it's that 3 installments that they've said. I'm sure we're going to end up paying 100 million. You don't want to lose out on a player like Declan Rice because you couldn't add 10 million. He's very good, believe me. He's very good. He's going to give us something that we don't have in the team. And one of those abilities is ball carrying. You need a midfielder who can carry the ball. Like, do you see how De Bruyne runs from? Like, De Bruyne can get the ball from Ederson and he will run through that midfield all the way to the side and pass the ball to Haaland. Now, we don't have a lot of players like that. Xhaka cannot really do that. Maybe sometimes, but he doesn't really have that strength and technical ability of like passing and dribbling past players. Doesn't really have that. Declan Rice will not dribble past you, just run past you because he also has the pace and stuff. Partey as well, sometimes he can, but recently, as this season especially, Partey's pace is kind of all over the place. He doesn't look as quick as he used to be. Maybe he was struggling with injuries again last season, but I don't know. But Declan Rice is one of those players who can do that. Jorginho obviously cannot do that. Jorginho cannot run like meters up front and carry the ball for you. Declan Rice can do that. He can get the ball from Ben White and run with it all the way to the other side and distribute it to Saka, to Martinelli, to Jesus, whoever is up front, or Osimhen, whoever knows, whoever will be playing that. So Declan Rice is very, very good. So I do think he's worth around that money, maybe 85 to 90 million. But just because he adds things like leadership, he was the captain for West Ham this past few seasons since Noble left them, and his English experience, he's an English regular. He's played like at a World Cup, at a Euro tournament. He's used to playing against all these midfielders in the Premier League. De Bruyne, Fabinho, all these guys. He's used to it, so he's not going to have to adapt to anything. No, he's used to it. So I do think he's worth around that money. And if we pay that kind of money for him, I'd be happy. Now, for Mudryk, it was different. If we had paid 110 million or something for Mudryk, I'd be like, he's coming from I mean, he's played for Shakhtar, yes, but he's nowhere near being Premier League experience. He's not really a leader. We really convinced that he's going to shine in the Premier League. No, someone like this, Rice, he ticks all those boxes. So I think this could be a good signing. Even Caicedo himself in January, I wasn't very sure about us paying 90 million for him. I felt like that was a lot of money. But for Declan Rice, I feel like it's definitely going to it's definitely worth that money. And on top of that, he's a very good character. Like, he's very fun. Like, I can see him getting along with the likes of Saka and all those guys. Like, it's very funny. Like, he always makes jokes and stuff. So he's a good addition to have in the dressing room. Someone who's a leader and someone who can always also crack jokes as well. Who doesn't like that? For sure, you need someone like that in the dressing room. Make sure to hit the like button as always. Let's get to let me get to your comments first before I go to the next players. Let me see what you guys are saying. Francis is saying, pleasure to see Rice and consider it us, and that would be amazing. We want quality midfield like Rice and Caicedo, says Katuma. I'll be so happy to see Rice, says Frederick Gundwan as well. Musa says, Glenn, please, this is only with the viewers must also take part in your program, so you need to open the phone line so you can call and share our opinion. I can do that before the show. I can definitely do that before the show. Gary, nice seeing you, man. Long time. How are you? Declan Rice is the best for midfield. He fits in perfect, fits in like a glove. Where is Tielemans, says Masut? I've not heard anything about him. Okay, I've heard that Aston Villa want him, but things have gone quiet, and he's free. Like, anything that want him right now, you can take him. Like, he's free. I prefer Mrs. Caicedo because he's strong on the ball. I am doing good. Okay, let's get to the next piece of news, and then I'll read the rest of your comments. Let's get to Caicedo. Well, according to reports on Caicedo, Arsenal also want to sign another where's that? We are linked to Caicedo as always. We're going to probably make another offer, and Arsenal also want to sign another attacking player, a centre back and a full back. So that will total to, because we want 2 midfielders according to reports, and a centre back and a full back. Personally, I didn't really feel like we needed a centre back because I want Ben White to come back to that position. But hey, if we can get a centre back and still get a full back, I am not going to complain. But if you ask me to choose, I am going to choose a full back, a couple of midfielders, and a winger who can also play as a forward or a striker. strong, a tall kind of striker who's different from what we have. But again, from reports about Mikel Arteta wants to revamp Arsenal's midfield with 2 signings. Hopefully that is Rice and Caicedo. That would be brilliant. The club is also interested in bolstering their options at centre back and right back. A new forward has also been discussed. I am pretty sure they know. Like, we were so close to winning the Premier League title. We were this close. You just add the likes of Rice and Caicedo into your team, you're going to compete for all those trophies. And the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, all of a sudden it becomes possible to win those as well because you have a good squad. I do agree with what Musa said earlier about Caicedo, being able to play in various positions. Caicedo is one of the best midfielders in the league right now, and his price, you could even argue his price is closer to Declan Rice because he can play as a fullback as well. Now, the kind of system that Arteta uses with the inverted fullback, if you get someone like a Caicedo who's already a midfielder and then he can play for you as a right back, when you have the ball, he can come into midfield and distribute like John Stones does at Man City from centre back. He pushes into midfield. He becomes almost like a 4th or 5th midfield in the team, and you're playing with the back 3. Caicedo can help in that absolutely well. And it helps us in terms of numbers as well. I mean, different ideas. You can play an inverted fullback. You can bring Tomiyasu. You can bring Ben White. People with different ideas at right back. So Caicedo, for that price, absolutely. As Musa said, he's also strong in the ball, and also without the ball, he can also play as a right back. So Caicedo would be absolutely perfect. And Chelsea want him, obviously, and Man United want him. So if you get the player like Caicedo instead of Chelsea, we've definitely beaten them to a player. That would be amazing because they also beat us to like the likes of Mudryk and those kind of players. So you get Caicedo, you help yourself, and you damage Chelsea even more. Perfect. We will be talking about Chelsea very, very soon because we are linked to one of their players. So Caicedo, for me, I definitely love him. If you can get both of these players, why not? I put a poll asking who would you sign first, Declan Rice or Caicedo. It's going to be very hard to get both of them. If Edu and Atap get both of them, this would be, I think, the best transfer window ever, if I'm not wrong, maybe this century for sure, because we usually sign one big player in a transfer window, Ozil, or you sign Sanchez the next year, or you sign Lacazette the next year. We usually sign one good player and one average one and one bad one. Like, you'd find ourselves signing Lacazette and then we sign Mustafi. I think we signed Xhaka and Mustafi in the same transfer window. It's usually good and bad. It's never 2 great world-class players at the same time. So if we do that, that would be absolutely amazing. So Caicedo, we are waiting for what Arsenal wants as well, because for us, he wants us because we are in the Champions League football, and also in January, he wanted to join us. He literally said goodbye to the Brighton fans. He was like, I want to go to Arsenal. My family is struggling. I want enough money. He's not coming to Arsenal because of money, but he's saying, like, obviously it's going to help him in terms of money, like moving from Brighton to Arsenal, but also in terms of playing in European football. At that time, we're in the Europa League, and he still wanted to come to us. So now we're in the Champions League. You can see why he'd want to come to us. And more reports on Caicedo. Caicedo has agreed personal terms with Arsenal, but he's still considering his options. That was according to the Ecuadorian news broadcaster. And also, Brighton have agreed to sell Moses Caicedo this summer and want around 100 million for the midfielder. Everyone wants 100 million for their players, man. Everyone wants 100 million for their players. What the hell? Like, we should also sell our players for 100 million. Like, all these players are not worth 100 million, but since Chelsea spoiled the market by signing the likes of Fernandes and the Mudryk for 100 million, everyone is going to ask for 100 million for their players. But that's the latest on Caicedo. We're expecting another offer very, very soon. Now, the next one has come as a surprise. Not because we are linked to a Chelsea player. No, we are always linked to a Chelsea player. David Luiz, all those players. Now, there's one myth that I don't agree with. People usually say whenever Arsenal sign players from Chelsea, it's rejects. Arsenal should not sign Man City players. Those are rejects. No, like Jesus and Zinchenko are not rejects from Man City. Those players changed our game. Like, especially from the start of the season, Zinchenko and Jesus were amazing. Those games against Leicester, those first 10 games, they were absolutely amazing. Zinchenko got injured. Jesus got injured. Maybe if they were fit for the whole season, things would have been different for us. And yes, Zinchenko made mistakes at the end of the season, but he's still a very good player. Still want him to start for us at left back. And Jesus is very, very good as well. I mean, I'm sure he very improved the games for Saka and Martinelli. He's not only like scoring goals and assisting. He did that despite missing like 4 months. But I think he's also improved the games of Odegaard and Martinelli and Saka as well. Now, back to Chelsea. I think Czech did well for 2 out of the 4 seasons or 3 seasons he was at Arsenal. I don't think he was a complete disaster, Peter Cech, when he was at Arsenal. He had one bad season, but the rest he made some world-class saves. I think he even had the best save of that season, if I'm not wrong, his debut season at Arsenal. Jorginho, since he came to Arsenal, he's been okay. I don't think I have anything to complain about from Jorginho. I think he's done okay. We were unlucky not to win the league title, but if we won it, he could have been one of the reasons, because he played really well against Chelsea, played really well against Aston Villa in those kind of games. For David Luiz, his first season was poor. His next season was okay. He was very good the next season, David Luiz. William Gallas, so all over the place. He was crying. Like, you should have won 2008 Premier League title if Gallas was not crying. Yeah, that one you can argue. Who else joined Arsenal from Chelsea? There's a lot of them. Like, there's so many of them. William, oh, good. That one was a disaster. That one was a proper disaster. But Kai Havertz. Arsenal is linked to Kai Havertz. Now, I've really enjoyed, let me confess, I've really enjoyed watching Chelsea content the last 6 months. They've really struggled, like all their content creators, meltdowns and everything. It's like watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Chelsea fan channels. It's been really fun seeing them crying, all the drama at Chelsea. You should really try it, by the way. It's really fun over there. So, in the midst of watching all this Chelsea content, I've had them talking about Havertz a lot of days, a lot of times before you were even linked to him. And one thing that they usually say is they don't like Havertz. Why? Because they don't really know a position for him. They're not very sure where there's a striker, where there's an attacking midfielder, where there's a left winger, where there's a right wing, and all that. Personally, I do think he prefers to play in a 4-2-3-1 behind the striker. Now, we play in a 4-3-3, so I'm not sure how that one would fit. But let's get to the news for Havertz before we break down more on him. According to Alex Goldberg, the next Arsenal target is Kai Havertz. Arsenal as well really want him. To my knowledge, they haven't formally proposed anything to Chelsea yet, as they are more working on the player side of things first. So we are doing personal terms first, talking about how much you're going to pay him and all that. We've not really hit up Chelsea yet to propose a deal or anything, but we're already talking to the player. So that is Havertz. The next piece of news, again from Alex. Kai Havertz is a target for Arsenal. Arsenal haven't approached Chelsea yet, but they're working on the players' side. Information from Alex. So let me know, what do you think about Kai Havertz joining Arsenal? Now, the funny thing about Havertz is still very young. It seems like we've watched him play for Chelsea for like 7 years, but I think he's only like 24 something, or turning 24. He is very young. He's nowhere near his prime. Like, he's the same age with the likes of Odegaard, Kai Havertz. I know if he joins Arsenal, there's always those people who will say, no, he's a Chelsea reject. He's been very poor. I'm not advocating for us to sign him, but hear me out. He was in a very bad Chelsea team. Chelsea were very bad last season, as I said. Literally everyone. I'm sure even if Odegaard and Messi went to Chelsea last season, they would have been poor because of the Chelsea structure and everything. There was too many players there. They were doing 2 or 3 different training sessions because there were too many players. They had like 2 dressing rooms because too many players were there. Players did not understand each other. Language barriers. Like, there were so many problems with Chelsea last season. Maybe if he goes to a settled institution, he would be great. The time I heard that Real Madrid wanted Havertz, I was like, he's going to do really well there with Vinicius and Rodrigo and all those guys. I think he's really going to do well there. Now, the other things that Chelsea fans have said is not really, is too slow for English football. But then again, they say the same thing about Jorginho, but when Jorginho came to Arsenal, he did okay. So there's that. And since Jorginho left Chelsea, I've had rumors about the likes of Kovacic and Thiago Silva not wanting Jorginho to leave because they're very strong individual in the dressing room, and he helps them on the pitch and everything. So sometimes also you don't really take opinions from fans. Yes, they watch those players every single day because they're Chelsea fans, but sometimes you need to watch that player by yourself and figure out if they fit into your team. Havertz, the thing that I don't think Havertz would fit, the place where I don't think he'd fit, is the formation. He prefers to play behind the striker. That is in a 4-2-3-1. If you're playing with 2 holding midfielders and 1 attacking midfielder and 1 striker, Havertz can play for you behind the striker. Arsenal do not play in a 4-2-3-1. We play in a 4-3-3 with Partey holding, Xhaka and Odegaard. If Rice joins, it's going to be Partey, Rice and Odegaard. Odegaard is a must start for Arsenal. Odegaard cannot be dropped to the bench. And can Havertz really play that Odegaard role where you come back and collect the ball and distribute it? I don't think so. Havertz wants to be behind the striker, make late runs to the box and all that. So There's a couple of positives, like yes, he's still young. Yes, he can still improve his game. Yes, maybe it's just because Chelsea were a poor team last season, that's why he didn't do well. And his numbers at Bayer Leverkusen were great. I think he scored in the 3 seasons he was there. I think he scored like 19 goals in a season and like 17 goals in a season. He did very well. Since he came to Chelsea, there's 2 seasons where he's scored less than 10 goals, including this past season. So if you judge him by last season, you'll say no way, don't bring him anywhere near Arsenal. But maybe if you go back to the Leverkusen days and to his Germany days, also another thing is Germany. Germany have a lot of forward players. They have Musiala, Mola, Sane, Nabri, who else am I forgetting? They have a lot of players in the forward lines, pretty much like the front five. They have a lot of players who can play in those positions. And Havertz is a regular. The likes of Werner are also there as well, but Havertz is a regular. Maybe because of his qualities. So I'm not advocating for us to sign him, especially not for that transfer fee. The only way I can see Arsenal getting Kai Havertz is if we get him on loan, because Chelsea are talking about 50, 60 million. I can't see Arsenal spending 50, 60 million on Havertz. Attacking midfield is not Arsenal's issue, first of all. And number two, Havertz is coming from a poor season. Pretty much has been poor this past season, missing open chances and all that. And if he comes, never give him penalties as well. I don't like his penalties too. But then again, if you go to 2 seasons back, he won Chelsea a Champions League. He helped them win a Club World Cup as well. So there's bits and pieces here and there. But the problem is formation doesn't really fit into our formation, unless we are planning to change our formation sometimes, maybe in the Premier League or Champions League. If we are going to play in a 4-3-3, maybe sometimes switch to a 4-2-3-1, have both Partey and Rice on the pitch at the same time, both defensive midfielders at the same time, and then have one player ahead of them, maybe. But the price as well, I cannot see. I'll be very surprised if Arsenal pays 60 million for Kai Havertz in a transfer window, when our main issue is defensive midfield and central midfield and not really attacking midfield. So let's see how that turn develops. I'll be interested to see what you guys have to say about Kai Havertz. So that is about Rice, Caicedo, and Havertz. But we are also going to get rid of players. And according to reports from today, JORGINHO is in the reports. According to news on JORGINHO, the name of JORGINHO has been discussed at LAZIO, but the costs are still challenging, and the feasibility is being evaluated. The player would not mind at all returning to Italy, even more so if it was Maurizio Sarri. So yeah, Lazio's coach is Maurizio Sarri. Maurizio Sarri had him at Napoli. Maurizio Sarri moved to Chelsea, signed JORGINHO to Chelsea. So he definitely fits into the Maurizio Sarri team. I think he did well for us this past 5 months he was at Arsenal. He did well for us. And also, personally, I would keep him on the bench because I want us to have a lot of numbers, especially in midfield. If we get rid of JORGINHO and still get rid of Xhaka and still get rid of El Neni, and I'm not sure if Partey is going to be here as well. There's been news about him probably leaving. Then you're talking about signing 3 or 4 midfielders. That is a lot. That is a lot of midfielders to sign, unless you get a couple on a cheap, like Tielemans who's on a free. And I can't really see us going for 4 midfielders. So yes, there's talks about JORGINHO leaving. He could end up leaving. There's 4 players that I'm not sure are going to be here or not. JORGINHO is one of them. Thomas Partey is one of them. Nketiah is one of them. And who else am I forgetting? There's someone else I'm forgetting. I'll remember. But there's 4 players that I'm not convinced whether they're going to be here or not. So we are still not sure about them. And JORGINHO is one of them. And more news on JORGINHO. Yeah, it basically goes to the same thing. And then they also say the reliability of Lazio. You're not sure about the account that was posted about JORGINHO, but he's followed by a lot of reliable accounts. So, and he's also based like in Italy, like does journalism in Italy. So we're not going to take his word for it at the moment, but I've also had a couple of other rumors that JORGINHO could leave. I've had Arsenal fans saying JORGINHO should leave and all that. Personally, I would keep him on the bench for the experience and also for the cup competitions to help us last 30 minutes. If you need to rest both Partey and Rice and you have a big Champions League game in midweek, you can bring on JORGINHO to finish off the game, because he's very not wasting time, but he's very good in controlling the game the last 20, 30 minutes. He can control the game for you. If you want to call it time wastage, wherever, but he can control the game for you for the last 20, 30 minutes pretty well. But let me know, would you keep JORGINHO or would you let him go? We signed him for 12 million or something. You know what? Everyone wants 100 million for their players. Give us 40 million for JORGINHO. We're not going to sell JORGINHO unless you give us 40 million. Everyone is selling average players at 60, 70 million. Chelsea want to sell Havertz for 70 million. They want to sell Mount for like 70 or 80 million. give us 40 million for Jorginho. Since he came to Arsenal, he's improved for those 4 months. Give us 40 million for him. You're not taking anything less than him. But on a serious note, if we can get almost the same money or more than that, that would be okay, because he only has 1 year remaining on his contract. He only signed for 18 months. So let's see how that one develops. He's not the only player who will be leaving Arsenal as well. According to Graham Bailey, Granit Xhaka is leaving the club to join Bayer Leverkusen. We already know that. And Albert Sambi Lokonga is also likely to be moved on. That is another midfielder who could be going. So can he really also get rid of Jorginho and all these players? Basically, we'll need like 4 midfielders. Their exits could facilitate the arrivals of Declan Rice and Moises Caicedo, with Arsenal keen to sign both players despite their lofty price. So just imagine Arsenal paying 100 million for 2 players, 100 million for Rice, 100 million for Caicedo. That is unheard of. Our record-breaking transfer fee was 72 million for Pepe. We've never gotten anywhere close to 100 million. So imagine if you sign 2 players in the same transfer window for 100 million. That will show me that Arsenal has improved, and Arsenal are now targeting big things, and we are no longer a banter club, and we are trying to now win the Premier League and compete in the Champions League as well, if we get those 2 players. But Granit Xhaka, we already know is going to leave. Declan Rice is going to be replacement in that position, and Smith Rowe is going to stay, is also going to cover in that position. But what about Albert Sambi Lokonga? We talked about him. I say that probably either sell him or loan him out again. Would I really bring him back at Arsenal? Not really. I've not seen enough of him at Crystal Palace, unfortunately, and it's not worked out. Unfortunately for him and Tavares, as I've always said, Tavares and Lokonga are not supposed to join Arsenal as main starters. They were supposed to be bench players for a couple of seasons, and then by the 3rd season, regulars. Now, the very first season, unfortunately, Tierney and Partey got injured, and Tavares and Lokonga were thrown into the deep end straight away, and we were playing Tavares up against Salah, and we were playing Lokonga away at Man United, big games, and we saw a lot of their vulnerabilities in those games, and everyone was like, Lokonga is not good enough, Tavares is not good enough. They were very young when he signed them, so I think we did throw them to the deep end. But then again, ever since then, I've seen a few bits and pieces from Tavares, so I would loan him out again, but I'd keep him as an Arsenal player. But for Lokonga, I'd be willing to sell him, to be honest. I'd be willing to sell him. I don't think he fits into the system, first of all. He prefers to play in a 4-2-3-1. So if you want to sign Havertz, then Lokonga, those players can play in a 4-2-3-1. But in a 4-3-3, Lokonga, unless you're playing him in the Xhaka role that you saw him playing in the last preseason, he played really well. As a lone number 6 by himself in midfield, Lokonga, suicide. He's going to mark players like De Bruyne in midfield. You cannot throw someone like Lokonga there. I don't think he's experienced enough. Midfield for me is the most. Some of you say striker is the most important position because you cannot win a game without scoring a goal. But midfield, for me, is the most important position. Your midfielder is going to collect the balls from the defenders and push it forward. He's going to protect your defenders from, especially from the midfielders. He's going to mark the number 10 in that game as well. That position is very, very crucial. That is why most of the times when Partey is not there, we don't win games, because El Neni, yes, he will tackle for you in the midfield and everything, but in terms of other qualities, no. And other teams that have won big trophies, they always have someone good in that position. Chelsea with Makelele, Man United with the likes of Carrick and those kind of players, Arsenal with Vieira, Man United with Roy Keane. That is a very crucial position. Real Madrid cruise that position as well. You have to have very good midfielders in your team to win the league. So you cannot move from Vieira to Fabregas, from Flamini, all the way down to Lokonga. No, not in the Premier League. Not when you're trying to fight for the Premier League title. If you're fighting for the top 6, that could work. But if you're fighting for the title, you're trying to hit 95 points. That is like 30 wins and something. You're going to have a very strong midfield, like to the point of where Partey is not there, Rice is there. Rice is not there, Caicedo is there. Man City have a lot of numbers in that midfield. They can play Gundogan, they can play Rodri, they can play Foden, they can play Phillips, they can play De Bruyne, they can play Bernardo Silva in that position if they want. So you cannot really have Lokonga, and I don't think we're actually going to keep him. I feel like they're either going to loan him out or sell him. So Xhaka is leaving, Lokonga could be leaving, Jorginho could be leaving, El Neni could be leaving as well. So there's a lot of midfielders we could be losing. Now, if you were keeping all of them, I still think we would have needed 2 midfielders on top of that. Now, if we sell all of them, we are talking about 3 or 4 midfielders. So that is why I don't think the likes of Jorginho and Partey will be sold. I feel like they're going to stay despite everything that is going on. So there was a lot of news to cover today. Declan Rice, Caicedo, Havertz, Jorginho, Xhaka, Lokonga. The transfer window is not even open yet, and you're already talking about multiple players. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in this transfer window. Tactical says Rice isn't worth 100 million, but neither was Grealish, and he's been amazing for City this season. It's just how the current market is. Yep, that is how the market is for sure. Vanny says Arsenal don't need to waste time on buying players. They need this season because when the season starts, it would be easier. Like last season, yeah, last season was really good the way it started it. We already had our signings in. Zinchenko started the first game against Palace. Jesus started. Arian was ready for that season. The plan was great for last season, so let's do the same this season. King says, like this guy, England. Hype. I don't think Rice is hype, King. If you're talking about Rice, I don't think Rice is hype. He's a very good player. We should be getting Caicedo as well. Doubt our board will make that type of investment. However, a Partey and a Rice pairing in midfield doesn't sound too bad. That sounds like a dream to me, man. Partey and Rice, oh, absolutely perfect. Let's get him registered quick. We are slow to sign players, says Lee. I mean, I know where this notion comes from. It's because Liverpool usually signs a lot of players early, so Arsenal trying to compare themselves to Liverpool. Liverpool usually, I don't know how to say it. McAllister is a World Cup winner, yes, but he's less than 50 million. Declan Rice is an England regular, and getting those England players is totally different. First of all, like you're going to have to pay a lot of money and take a lot of players. And for McAllister, how many teams really wanted someone like a McAllister? I didn't see a lot of teams, and Declan Rice is wanted by like 3 or 4 teams. So it's always going to be hard. It's not going to be right away. But I do feel like Rice is going to be this month. Rice can replace Xhaka nicely. Absolutely, man. 100%. And replace him and add to it as well. Partey is 29 now. Yes, he still has 2 years remaining on his contract. So if he's going to leave Arsenal, maybe next season, not this season, I would not get rid of him this season at all. I still feel like he was part of the reason why we were top of the table. Those first games where we lost like 1 game until like January or February, he was one of the reasons why. And he never really got injured last season, so that was a positive as well, despite going to the World Cup and playing all those AFCON qualifications as well. Adebayo says this Rice is overrated. Price-wise, maybe. Talent-wise, no. I like to get Gundogan and Rice, says Malcolm. The deal of Rice and Caicedo to Arsenal should not be delayed, says Timothy. Any update on Joao Cancelo? The only update that we have on Cancelo is that Man City want a lot of money, and Arsenal have not yet got to anywhere close to that money. So there's that. It's going to be very hard to sign Rice, Caicedo, and Cancelo. That is impossible. You're going to have to splash 300 million for those 3 players. So that is impossible. You can only get 2 from that. I would really wanted Cancelo because he can play as a right back and left back. In fact, if you asked me and you pushed me, you asked me Rice, Caicedo, and Cancelo take 2, I would pick Rice and Cancelo. I would not take Caicedo, despite him being very good and being able to play as a right back. Cancelo is made for that position. Like, he's basically the one who started the inverted thing. He's one of those first players who did that. So Cancelo would be absolutely amazing. And his attacking potential, like, he would be so good for us. So if you were to ask me, I'd pick those 2, but I don't think we would get Cancelo. It would be a surprise if we got Cancelo. Can you remember Sadio Mane says, Sadio Mane is a left winger. Left wing is not our problem, man. I don't think left wing is our problem. If you get him, because he can play as a centre forward as well, and I've never really seen him playing at right wing, and that is why we really need our players. Left wing is covered for us. Martinelli, Trossard, Smith Rowe. I think we are fine on the left side. And Mane will not be cheap. He's one of the best players to ever play in the Premier League, yes, but there's other positions that we need to sort out. If our midfield is okay, if our midfield already had Rice and Caicedo, then we can start talking about players like Mane. Same as last season. I needed a midfielder before talking about players like Rafinha. If Rice can join us, that would be perfect, says Geoffrey. 85 million, I agree with that, Malti. No delay for Rice and Caicedo, and also a centre back and fullback with an option for Xhaka and Jesus, says Patrick. I don't think you're going to get more than 5 players. I think 5 is the maximum players you're going to get. Arsenal should also have a contingency plan, because I have seen this story before. We might not sign him if it comes to a bidding war. Well, according to reports from yesterday, Rice has already chosen Arsenal. Someone asked how did Arsenal agree Arsenal terms that quickly? According to, where is that article again? Do I have that tweet? I think I do have that tweet. Yeah, according to Team News Ticks, and this guy is very reliable. If you play FPL, he usually has Team News like 5 hours before, so he does have inside scope. And remember when Thierry Henry resigned for Arsenal in 2012? This guy had tweeted about it in 2011 that Thierry Henry will come back to Arsenal next year and he'll be wearing the number 12. So whoever this guy is, Team News and Ticks, he has some really good inside information. And he says Declan is fully sold on the Arsenal project. He loves Arteta, loves what he hears from the other English boys. He's already told people he works with he will be at Caldy next year. Personal terms agreed so long ago, it's laughable. So maybe other teams does not matter. Maybe he's already agreed personal terms. According to him, he's agreed personal terms with Arsenal a long time ago. The only thing remaining is the fee between Arsenal and West Ham. That's why teams want 100 million. It's business. Well, if you have quality players, you can do that. Like if teams would come for Arsenal players right now, I'm not even joking. They put Xhaka as like the 3rd most valuable player or something in the world right now, and people started crying. If you want Xhaka, you're going to have to pay 200 million right now. I don't care what you have to say. If you want Odegaard, 120 to 30. If Enzo Fernandez is going for 100 million, Odegaard is 130 million. Martinelli, 2 brilliant seasons at Arsenal, still very young, bring 150 million. Saliba, 100 million. Like all these players, even Ramsdale, I think he's been, from sources recently, is being rated as the most valuable goalkeeper. It's no joke. Like he's been ranked above Alisson and Ederson. There's a reason. He's a very good goalkeeper. Like if you count the number of world-class saves he made for us the last 2 seasons, 100 million for Ramsdale as well. Like as our players too, I don't think they would go for cheap, so that is why also it's advisable to get them new contracts. Fabrizio has come out and said that Caicedo doesn't agree personal terms. Everyone is exploring his options. Yeah, that could be true as well. And you'd probably take Fabrizio Romano's opinion now before anyone else's. Let's see. Caicedo and Rice very good for Arsenal, says Bar. Can Caicedo, Rice, Cancel and Mane? That is impossible. I would love that, but that is impossible. That is like 400 million. That is that. There's no team that can get all those 4 players in the same transfer window. If you get all those 4 players in the transfer window, I'd say Arsenal is winning the Premier League and Champions League next to 100%. But it's impossible to get all those 4 players. Even if you pay the money, the weekly wages, Caicedo would ask for 150,000 a week. Rice would want 200,000 a week. Cancelo would want 200,000 a week. Man would ask for 250,000 a week. It would be too much. We don't need Kai Havertz at Arsenal, says Patrick. Yeah, I don't think we need him. Definitely don't need him. I'm very happy with Odegaard. And some of you have said sell Fabio Vieira. No, I would keep Fabio Vieira for a second season. Let's see how he does for the second season. I've never thought about Kai Havertz. Same, Junior. I've never really thought about him as an Arsenal player. But I can see some positive possibilities if Kai comes to Arsenal. They can give that a try if they will sell him for 40 million max. Well, interesting. Rice is overrated. Look for the best option. For me, Rice is the best option by far. By far. Not only because of the stats, just because of watching him, he's the best option by far. And if you want the stats as well, let's take a look at it. Last season, in terms of interceptions, for me, one of the most important attributes to have in midfield, Declan Rice is top of the Premier League, 92 interceptions. An interception is the difference between you getting attacked, you conceding a goal and you scoring a goal. He can basically pick up the ball from De Bruyne and distribute it to the likes of Xhaka and Martinelli. Counter-attack. Interceptions are very important. Declan Rice is top. And you know who is second? Moises Caicedo. Just imagine getting both of them in your team. Let's add tackles to that as well. In terms of tackles and interceptions, Declan Rice is 4th in the whole Premier League. Palhinha is top, Caicedo is 2nd, Idrissi Gana Gueye is 3rd, and Declan Rice is 4th. he is not overrated. He is very good in that midfield. And all of this does not include attacking abilities. He takes penalties, he can take free kicks, he takes corners, he can shoot from outside the box as well. He is not overrated. If they say 150 million, the word that you can use, don't use the word overrated, use the word overpriced. You can use the word overpriced, but overrated, I don't think he's overrated. I think he's very, very good, very, very good player. And this was before we even were ever linked to him. I've always thought he's a very, very good player. If you had to ask me 1 year ago, which player would I take from West Ham? It'd probably be him or Bowen, like one of those players. I think he's very, very good. So he is not overrated. Overpriced, maybe. If Rice business will not work, Arsenal should go for Lavia and another player. Yes, I've heard a lot about Lavia, but he's only really played for Southampton for 1 year. What is the experience? Experience is not really there. Yes, and also on top of that, I don't really care about him getting relegated because Ramsdale got relegated like 3 times, but he's one of our best players right now. But I don't think Lavia could be an alternative to Rice. If you don't get Rice, you get Caicedo. Not getting Rice and then you get Lavia. He's nowhere near Rice. Nowhere near Rice. Nowhere near Rice. We need Caicedo, not Havertz. So Jorginho should stay. I agree with all of those 4 points. Ndaba, we need Caicedo 100%. Do we need Havertz? Not really. Partey, Jorginho to stay. I agree with all that. You covered a lot today. I appreciate it. Tactical. You're a legend too for always tuning in. I propose we go for Rice and Caicedo. Striking a deal for Cancelo can be a good addition. You know, there's 1,000 of you watching on Facebook. 1,000. And then there's 500 likes. Really? If we don't get to 1,000 likes, we'll definitely not get Declan Rice. We are going to get Theo Walcott back. Do you really want us to get Theo Walcott back? Make sure to hit the like button or else we'll get Theo Walcott. You know, those I hate those posts, like this post or you're going to die tomorrow. I hate those Facebook posts. But for this one, I'm serious. Like if you don't hit the like button, you're going to get Theo Walcott and sell Bukayo Saka tomorrow. Theo Walcott. I do think it's still an Arsenal great though. We'll talk about that some other day. Mane played on the right for Southampton. Yeah, but that was a long time ago. He was very good at Southampton. In fact, you saying that, I think the time he scored the quickest hat-trick, I think if I remember right, like 2 of those goals are from the right side. So very good point tactical. Yes, he played on the right side. But we have Saka on the right side. Mane is not going to come and sit on the bench for Saka. And I don't want us to replace Saka. I want a backup for Saka. Because I've seen people saying Saka is not good enough, get a replacement for him. You cannot look at that Arsenal side and tell me Saka is the biggest problem. Come on. I've also had people saying Odegaard needs a replacement. Come on. You cannot look at that Arsenal side and tell me Odegaard and Saka are the ones who need replacements. Nowhere near. Odegaard was one of the best midfielders in the league, if not the best this season. James Maddison is another one, but Newcastle want him as well. I don't think we have the capabilities of competing with Saudi Arabian money, man. Those guys have a lot of money, Ambrose. Those guys are signing Ronaldo, signing Benzema, and the same people at Newcastle. So you're not going to compete with them for money. I also don't really think we need Maddison because he plays in the same position as Odegaard. I don't really think we need Maddison at the moment. I want defensive midfielders and central midfielders, people who can play in those 2 positions, people who can play as a defensive midfielder and a right back, a Declan Rice who can play, someone who can play the Xhaka role. You know, Xhaka used to cover for us at left back as well. Someone who can do that and add on top of that as well. I don't really think we need a number 10, to be honest. Smith Rowe can play there. Fabio Vieira can play there. Odegaard can play there. You can push Jesus back to that position if you want. Trossard, you can play in that position if you want. I think we are fine in that place, in those 2 positions, left wing and number 10. How many goals does Rice have? Just 10 goals and 10 assists in 200 matches. Yeah, but that is not his job. How many goals does Thomas Partey have? They play in the same position. That is not their job. They can chip in 3 or 4 goals in a season. That is enough from a defensive midfielder. If my defensive midfielder gets 3 goals in a season, that is fine. How many goals does Fabinho score? Even these days, how many goals does Kroos score? Not many. That is not their job. Their job is to control the midfield. Their job is to give the other players. If Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, Trossard, and Jesus are scoring goals, I don't need Rice to score goals. I don't need the party to score goals. I want them to contribute. 3 goals. Gabriel gets 2 goals. Saliba gets 2 goals. Ben White gets 1 goal. Zinchenko gets 2 goals. That is fine from a midfield. I don't need my midfielder to score 10 goals. Declan Rice is a defensive midfielder, not an attacking midfielder. Those numbers that you've put, you know, your name is comedian. Nice joke. Jorginho should stay, and our boss must sign more, for sure. 85 million is okay for Rice. Thierry Henry should be assistant coach at Arsenal. I'm not sure about that one, man. I'm not sure. Thierry Henry as a player, my favorite player. The day I met him, I cried. I shook his hand. I did not wash my hands for 2 weeks because he's an Arsenal legend as a player. As a coach, as an assistant coach, as a pundit talking about Arsenal, I'm not very sure. In fact, whenever he talks about Arsenal and Arteta, I'm just like, change the channel. He rarely says good things, so there's that as well. Arsenal will not sign Rice. He might be a realist, but as a coach and pundit. Wine says, let me correct that. As a pundit, talking about other stuff, Thierry Henry is funny. He's very good on that show with Richards and Carragher. Very, very funny. I love that show. But in terms of him talking about Arsenal, I usually don't take his opinion. So I'm not sure about him being assistant coach. And really agree to be assistant coach. Does Arteta really want him? I really think we could have a great season next season. I really do think so as well. Liverpool did not win the Champions League in 2018. They came back and won it in 2019. They did the same thing with the Premier League. Chelsea was so close to winning the Premier League the day we finished as the year we finished as Invincibles. They finished second. The very next season, they came and won the Premier League. Usually, you come close to winning something, and then the very next season, you finally do it. I have a lot of hopes for next season. There's that as well. Thank you, Moomin. He's not an injury-prone player, right? So he'll play for you a lot of games. He can play for you 38 games in a season. So thank you for that point, Moomin. Very, very good point. We need a goal poacher also. I would love a winger who can also play as a striker or a tall striker, something like that. But then again, what is the main thing that we want? We scored 88 goals last season. Striking is not our biggest problem. We scored 88 goals with Jesus missing half of the season and Smith Rowe missing half of the season. I don't think striking is our problem. But do I want a backup striker? Yes. For me next season, I think we need 2 starters in the right area. In fact, maybe even 1 starter to come into our starting lineup. The most 2 if you're getting players like a Cancelo or Caicedo. But for the other positions, I still want Xhaka to start. I still want Martinelli to start. I still want Jesus to start. So my front 3 would remain the same. My back 4 would also remain the same. I'd still start with Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, and probably Ben White. Or unless we sign a right back, then you can have Ben White rotating with Saliba. That is fine. I'd still start Odegaard. So the only positions where I think we can improve on is a replacement for Rice. And maybe if you want someone else to rotate with Partey, that is fine. But I still want Jesus to start our games. I wouldn't drop Jesus to the bench unless you're getting someone like an Osimhen. So if you get someone different from Jesus, someone who can come on in the second half, that is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I don't think we need a replacement for Jesus. We scored the most goals we've ever scored in Premier League history last season. Scoring goals has never been Arsenal's problem from last season. Our problem is midfield and backup players for players like Saliba and Xhaka. We need Caicedo if Declan Rice deal doesn't happen. Yes, you have to get at least 1. Like the minimum you should get is at least 1. Benjamin says Arsenal should explore the option of signing Tielemans. He's a free agent and won't cost us a lot of money. Pair him with Rice and close the matter of Caicedo. Come on, Arsenal, let's try something out of the box. I would like to see some crazy record-breaking signings. For sure, I can't wait, man. I see what you're saying. I would love Tielemans as well. But are Arsenal looking at it like, you know what? We've now moved on from Awar and Tielemans and this kind of players. We are now going to the next level. I don't know. I still love Tielemans at Arsenal. He is very, very, very good, especially ball striking ability from outside the box. Oh, I don't think anyone can beat him, but maybe not as a starter. He can only come as a backup at Arsenal. I don't see Tielemans starting for Arsenal. Can we also sign Diaby as the backup for Saka? That would be great because he can also play as a center forward. That I definitely like that. By the way, why can't we get money? Of course, you can get money, but then again, we won't get money. A lot of reasons in that. But 1, weekly wages would be too much. You either decide whether you want midfielders or forward players. Number 2, Martinelli and Xhaka are not going to stay on the bench. Martinelli and Xhaka are definite starters at Arsenal. Man is not going to come to sit on the bench. He wants a place where he's going to start. Number 3, you're going to have to pay 70 or 80 million for Sadio Mane to sign him. So do you want to pay 80 million for Rice or do you want to pay 80 million for Mane? There's a lot of reasons. Number 4, I'm okay with the left wing. I think we have Trossard, we have Smith Rowe. A lot of reasons, Nab. A lot. Age. How old is Mane as well? I'm sure he's hit 30 as well, right? He's been here for long. I've watched him in the Premier League for a long time. And also on top of that, yes, getting experienced players is good, but I also want hungry players who've balance it, players who've won things and players who've not really won things, who want to win things. Now, you see someone like Mane. Mane has won everything. He won the African Cup of Nations the other day. He won the Champions League the other day, won the Premier League. He just won the Bundesliga. He's won everything. Like, he can relax. He can go to Saudi Arabia now and just relax and get in the money. He is good. I want players who balance it out. Zinchenko, Jesus, Partey, they've won league titles. Declan Rice has now won a European trophy. And then you bring the hungry players like Martinelli and Xhaka, who've not really won anything. They're young. They want to win anything. There's something. They have the energy of winning something as well. But you also need to balance it out. You can't get too many of these players who've already won everything. The hunger is not there anymore. We need Rice. Yes, for sure, Mohamed. Arsenal must carry Zaha. Same thing as I just said with Mane. Do we really need Zaha? Is left wing our biggest problem? It's not. Our biggest problem is midfield, backups for Saliba, backups for Saka. That is our biggest problem. And maybe a tall striker, someone different. Left wing and number 10 is not our biggest. We have like 10 players who can play on that left wing. We are giving Nelson a new contract. Trossard is there, Smith Rowe is there, Martinelli is there. If things get so bad that you don't have players, Fabio Vieira can play there. Jesus can play in the wing if you want. Striking is not our biggest. And we have strikers in the team. We can bring back Balogun. People don't like Nketiah, but there's a chance he might not get sold. He'll still be here. So I don't think striker in terms of numbers is our biggest problem, and left wing as well. Desire says, is it Desire or Desire? Sign Zaha. Again, it's not only that. The other thing with Zaha as well, character. We're also looking at character. Zaha is the kind of player who will come and they'll fall out with that in the first 2 weeks. That is the kind of player who will probably not even get along with Arteta because of ego as well. So you have to be careful as well. You have to look at a lot of things before you sign players. You can't just wake up and sign a player. Arsenal should get Diaby as a backup. That one I can listen to, Julian. I think we need to sign Caicedo as a great young player, but then again, number 10. Number 10 is not our biggest problem. But someone like an Eze, I can understand because he's also young. So someone like that, I don't mind. As a backup, I don't mind someone like that. I don't want Tielemans. Watched him a few times this season and has been shocking. He was also playing in a very bad team this season. There's that as well, Tactical. There's a lot of comments. I'll get through a few others. We need like 2 defensive midfielders and Diaby as Saka backup, says Adebayo. Yeah, that one for sure. But not left wingers or number 10s. I don't really think we need that. That is a want. That is not a need. We don't need money at Arsenal. Definitely agree that Ben White, interesting name. Imagine having Rice, Caicedo, and Ilkay Gundogan from Man City plus our own party, Jorginho and Odegaard. What type of midfield trio would you start in the first 11? From that, I would start Rice, Odegaard, and Partey. I'd start Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. Odegaard is a must start. You should. As long as you're here, you should never ask me about Odegaard. Odegaard is 100% always going to start for me. Same with Martinelli and Saka and Saliba and those kind of players. Those ones I never even think about. He's always an automatic in my starting 11. So the only other one is maybe Partey and Caicedo you can think about. Jorginho is obviously a backup. And Gundogan, I mean, experience, yes, but having someone like that to bring from the bench should be great. But I also wouldn't mind. Now, that is why you can have like rotation and everything would be okay. You can start Gundogan in the Champions League and Partey in the league. Just imagine, as you said, Prince, just imagine. Let's see. Now, that is not true, Orchard. We don't need money. You want money, but we don't need money. We don't need money. We need midfielders. We don't need left wingers. How far is Xhaka, says Samson. I'll finish. I'll recap it at the end. We need Ben White back. What does that mean? Like a centre back? Sign Asensio. Asensio is already a PSG player. Humphrey. If we need to join the race of Premier League and Champions League, we must establish strongest lineup and good subs. Yes, for sure. We need to sign Caicedo, Rice, Maddison, Cancelo, Mane, and Dunk. Now, I see, then we also have to be realistic. You cannot sign all those 6 players. That is impossible. You're going to go bankrupt if you sign all those 6 players. It's not possible. Yes, Man City have the quality. I do understand. Man City have very good players on the bench. Yes. You can sign Caicedo and Rice and Cancelo as well. Yeah, there's no problem. But then again, not in the same transfer window. It's not possible to sign all of them in the same transfer window. Man City didn't really do it in the same transfer window. They signed players like for 3-4 years. There's that as well. You see the Americans saying that's cap. That's cap, Archer. That's cap. That is a lie. Strike has never been Arsenal's main problem. We scored 88 goals last season. That is the most goals Arsenal have ever scored since 1992 Premier League history. Arsenal is not, striking is not our biggest problem. I can never agree with that. Saka, Martinelli, Jesus up front, that is not our biggest problem. Backup striker, someone different, yes. Replacing Jesus being our biggest problem, no. Is Jesus the best striker in the world? He's not. He's not a goal scorer like Osimhen and those kind of players. No, he's not going to score 30 goals in a season. But then again, he still scored more than 10 goals despite missing 4 months and stuff. So if he played the whole Premier League season, 38 games, he could have gotten 20 goals. So I don't think striking is our biggest problem. You also need to be careful with part of the media. The media will see Jesus missing 2 chances, and then they'll tell you Arsenal's biggest problem is the striker. No, our biggest problem is midfield. It's never been striker. We scored a bunch of goals. We scored 3 past Liverpool, 2 past them at Anfield, 3 past Man United. We scored 5 against Nottingham, 5 against Wolves. We scored 3 against Chelsea. We scored 2 and then 3 against Tottenham. We scored 4 against Aston Villa. We scored 4 against Brighton. Striking is not our problem, Archer. Striking is not our problem. If we say that about defensive, when Saliba got injured, we started conceding 3 and 2. That is our problem, but not striking. Have you made any signing yet? Says Junior. Transfer window is opening next week. The truth is we need a big striker like Zeko. That one I can agree with, Humphrey. That one I can agree with. A backup striker, someone different like a Giroud or a Dzeko, that is fine. But not a starting striker. Can you improve on Jesus? Yes, I can agree with that. But I'm saying you can do that after you sort out your midfield and backup for Saliba maybe and a backup for Saka. If you do that and you have extra money, then you can go for a striker. And you can go for number 10 if you have spare money, but not fast signing. So I don't agree with the word need. I would love to have someone like an Eze as backup, says Joshua. I agree with that. So we have been going for 1 hour. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll probably post another video late tomorrow. We now, not tomorrow, later today, 6 days to go till the transfer window opens. Very, very big transfer window coming up. So let's quickly do a recap and then I'll end it immediately after that. According to reports on Declan Rice, West Ham have been angling for a transfer fee exceeding 100 million, including add-ons. We probably expect the money to be paid in 3 installments. So we're waiting to see what happens with that. For Caicedo, we are probably going to make another offer as well. Arsenal is also linked to Kai Havertz, according to Alex Goldberg. The next Arsenal target is Kai Havertz. Would you want him, Havertz, yes or no? Granit Xhaka and Lokonga are expected to both leave Arsenal as we want to replace them with Rice and Caicedo, according to Graham Bailey. Jorginho has also been in the latest news, according to reports from Italy. He's being linked to Lazio. And yeah, that is a piece of news from today. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.